So that would allow us technically to solve for some of the issues along the way. Now, one of the things I should point out, because it will kind of come up in a second, is there is a whole second set of functionality within CloudFront for programming it. And that one is, you can kind of see right here, functions. So Lambda functions and CloudFront functions are different. You're like, great. We'll talk about CloudFront functions in a second. They are basically, can do a whole lot less for a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot faster, right? So we'll talk about those briefly. We're going to mostly focus just on the Lambda edge ones because they're a little bit more flexible. And most, CloudFront functions are just a subset of that. All right, great. Fantastic. So we can go set those up the same way we set up basically anything else, which for any other Lambda, which is to go to Lambda. Now, it's kind of wild. Like, they've radically changed the UI here, and it's still a little tricky, right? So we can go ahead, and we can create a new function. Now, you see that this is also called functions here, but now we're in Lambda instead of CloudFront. I don't make the rules. So we can go to say create function, and we can give it a function name. We're going to call this one fixed security headers. Hypothetically, that might be a thing that we want to do. We can pick a runtime. Yeah, let's pick the. Seems like you thought watching me live code YAML was precarious. You don't want to see me do Ruby. Okay. I used to write Ruby. I don't think I can anymore. Cool. So we've got that all in place. Awesome. If you needed to talk to something else, you need to give it network access. We don't. We're simply going to rewrite a bunch of headers. And you can see it's thinking down there. I made the slight boo-boo, which I am in US East 2. So my guess, and this is probably good, I'm glad I did it, is that if I go to add trigger, I'm not going to see CloudFront in here, which is good, because if I didn't make that mistake and you did, then you would see, I don't see CloudFront. Something must be terrible. The other thing I probably will not see is over in Actions, I will not see the ability to deploy it to Lambda at Edge. That is because I am in US East 2 instead of US East 1. Like I said before, like when in doubt, we want to make sure we're in US East 1 for a lot of the CloudFront stuff. So we'll go over back to Lambda, which I should be in. Oh, there, it just takes a while. So we'll create a function again. Great. So we'll give that a second to spin up. And now, if I go to add trigger, I go to select a trigger, I should see CloudFront shows up. So that's an important note. If you don't see it, it's not because I took away support. It's just you were in Ohio instead of Virginia, or you were on the West Coast, or you were, in Europe or Asia, wherever. So we have all those in place. So now I want to select perhaps a trigger. We'll say CloudFront. And I want to deploy a new version of this function global to AWS locations. Now, basically, there are some limitations. None of them are meaningful to us versus regular Lambda. They just want to make sure that you know this is going to go distributed. It's not exactly the same as one function, one place. Cool. So we've got all of this. We don't actually have a function to deploy just yet, but this is where you have to make sure that you set one of these. Also, like we only had one cache behavior in our case, and this should be our CloudFront distribution. And then you would acknowledge. But let's go actually write a function in this case. Now this one, the one that we get by default, will be basically saying listen, the event that comes in respond to it with a 200 saying hello from Lambda, right? Like, don't even check S3. Forget everything. I know what to do. I'm a web server. Everything is great. Just say hello no matter what. And like, honestly, you know what? Let's deploy it. All right. We go ahead. You can test it out by giving a test event, any kind of just JSON object. There's a bunch of templates. Let's see, do I have? You can have a CloudFront access request. None of these are super helpful. But you've got the event. You've got a response. We can go ahead. We can hit save. I just hit Command S. I think you can do file save too. And then we can hit deploy. Now that is deployed to Lambda. It is not deployed to CloudFront. I know. Here we go to actions. And once it is deployed into Lambda, we can then send it out to the CloudFront nodes. Lambda at edge. We're going to say that this is we're going to do a viewer request so it doesn't get cached. I don't have to do invalidation. So before you check Lambda, just respond with this hello. Or before you check CloudFront, just respond with this hello in this case. And we acknowledge that I'm deploying a new version of this function, and we publish. This is like the you could break things, right? And like we know what we're doing at this point. Oh, cool, yeah. This is a fun little edge case. Your function execution role must be assumable by Edge Lambda AWS service principal. So what we need to do is actually go ahead and edit the policy document in this case. Because the default one that it makes is only for lambda.amazonaws.com, it didn't automatically do this piece for you. The issue, as we mentioned before, is we got yelled at like, hey, you don't necessarily have the role for doing that. Because I made one in the wrong region, I actually have 2 roles, and I'm not entirely sure which one it is, so I'll just do it twice. Which is we've got these trust relationships. And we'll go ahead and edit it. And it's basically what it said before, which is, hey, you said we didn't have permission for edgelambda.amazon.aws.com. And it made this. You notice that I didn't make this file, so I don't know why I'm getting yelled at. But we can go ahead and just say, OK, cool. We'll make it an array. And we're going to say that the trust relationship is both lambda.aws.com, amazonaws.com, and edge lambda. I will copy that since I have to do it twice since I made a boo-boo.
Could you show again where you got to that?
Yes, I will literally. So in IAM, we go to roles, and then I have these 2. And then we click on the role. Under trust relationships, we hit edit trust relationship.
So if we don't have those roles.
Yeah, the first time you want to deploy, it should make them on your behalf. So if you hit deploy once, it should go ahead, set most of everything up for you, but not enough to be helpful, right? Like, as well. Because you notice that we could hit deploy, and it went up there to the new version. It was only that kind of special drop down for deploy to Lambda at edge that we got the issue before. So again, I'm going to make that a viewer request, because this is kind of our dummy version. Let's see, does that take a second? I might have to, oh, you know what it is? Watch what happens if I refresh the page. And I click it again. Even if you fix it and you don't refresh the page, they cached it somehow. And it doesn't work. But if you refresh the page, like it's the old, like, did you turn it off and turn it back on again? Because then it totally works. All right, cool. So if I've done everything right, I should have broken my page. right? We should get that hello from Lambda. Let's go to the core one. It might not have fully deployed yet. Like the one time I want my page to have broken, it's like, no, 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 here's the yellow version of your page. All right, so it could still be deploying for a moment. While we buy ourselves some time as it goes to all the edge nodes, let's talk about how to get rid of that in case you make a boo-boo, right? Because that was an intentional boo-boo that we're going to have to get rid of. So we'll go ahead and check it out. We'll go back into CloudFront. That one's still deploying, as you could see. Remember before we kind of skipped, there was all of the different functions that we had along the way. Like we can go ahead, we can find that in there as well. I'm trying to do it from memory. I think it's under behaviors. Yep. So you can see on viewer request, we have a Lambda edge function that has been registered. That is the one that we created in US East 1. You can, that's just a, fixed security header. You can replace that with another one, or version 1 is that one that we hit deploy once. You can roll it back to a previous version, so on and so forth. If you need it to stop, you can hit no association and go for it, right? Did it break my site yet? OK, we at least got an error, which means our function is totally working. It just failed validation, which is super interesting for the one that they gave us. But let's go ahead and actually put in a helpful one.